question I have for you is, what was the biggest drawing point to come back to Philadelphia? I mean, is it unfinished business? I mean, what was the biggest drawing point for you to come back?
Oh, for sure. That's for certain. I believe if I was healthy, things might have been different. We definitely have some unfinished business, but it's always been a priority for me to win wherever I go. And I felt we had a good chance to do that. We had a good foundation, good core. I just didn't know what movements they were making. I don't think they were movements they were going to make with certain people, of course. So me, it was just trying to figure out who was going to be here, who's going to bring back. We have everybody back. I think we're a great team in the East and in the league, depending on if we can keep those people, if they buy in, et cetera. But it's always a priority for me to be on a winning team, or being on a contender. And Philly's always been that. And we had a great shot, great opportunity. If we bring it right back, I think we still have a great opportunity. So that was the number one. And obviously, seeing where the market was. The market was a lot lower than people expected. As you can see around the league, a lot of guys, again, crazy numbers or very low numbers. It seems like the middle ground is kind of missing again. So the superstars taking a big bulk of the cap, and then a lot of guys on vet minimums. So, trying to find that common area, that middle ground for me, for guys like me, was tough, this market. But, you want to get the best. You said you want to get your market value. You want to try to do the best with that, and also be, in a contending city. Most guys try to look for all three. It's hard to get all three. You're not going to get all three in a city that you want to live in, a city that's a contender, and the most money you're going to make. It's hard to get all three of those, but you try to maximize and get at least two of those things.
Is it kind of I want to say weird for you, but you were in San Antonio for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get traded to Toronto, you go to LA, you come to Philly, and now for the first time in like 3-4 years that you're going to be on the same team for more than 1 year. I mean, like, what's that like? It's not like living out of a suitcase, so to speak.
I haven't even thought about it in that aspect, to be honest with you. I still been kind of living out of a suitcase. Said so many different cities in so many different years, but to be on another team for more than another consecutive year, it's been a while since I've done consecutive years, even though I consider LA kind of because we did an extension of the bubble, et cetera. We were there for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I haven't really thought about it in that aspect, so it'll be different, but we have a young group. We lost some of our vets, George Hill and Dwight. I think I'm the only person over 30 on the team now. But the younger guys a little more experienced. We got Ferk back. So yeah, Joel more experienced. Tobias, Ben, they're all experienced, but I think we have a good, solid core and a good group. We can keep those guys together, that group together, and get everybody to buy in. I think we're still dangerous, still a very good team. And we picked up, Andre Drummond, who's a good piece for us. So as I'm excited to see what we can bring to the table. Shares that we've always been, a top tier team. Just getting over that hump, and I think the pieces that we got will help us get there.
Thanks, and again, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, next let's head it over to Paul Hudrick.
Hey Danny, welcome back and congratulations on the wedding coming up. I'm just curious what you've had as far as communication with your teammates. Like, what the conversation's been like since you re-signed, and did anyone kind of try to recruit you to come back that really wanted you back on the team?
Like I said, the market was kind of strange, man. A lot of people wanted me, but they just didn't have the space or money for it. So not just here in Philly, but other teams recruited me as well. Dwight was trying to get me to come back to, George was trying to get me to Milwaukee, but, trying to do the minimum. People were trying to get me to go other places. But of course, Philly was the guys on the team. Joel talked to him at the end of the season, talked to him throughout. He sent me a text, like, I really want you back. I understand the business side of it. You got to do what's best for you and your family, but I would really love to have you here. Tobias was calling me nonstop. We FaceTime. We're from the same area, so I know him well. We communicated throughout the process of what's going on. He's like, look, man, you can't go there. I can't lose you to that team. That type of thing. So we're going to make it happen. We're going to make something work. So yeah, it was great to hear from them throughout the process. Great to talk to my teammates to see how excited they were that I'm back. We had a great group. We had a lot of fun on and off the court. We gelled together well. We had good chemistry, and we got along. So a lot of those guys were excited and interested and expressed that they wanted me back. And I'm glad I was able to come back, and we can hopefully do something special again this year.
Thanks, Dan.
Kai Carlin.
You're welcome.
Hey, just congratulations on the wedding, man. Just real quick, wanted to ask you, other than in LA and Milwaukee, were there any teams that made an offer to you in free agency?
I said it was tough because there wasn't many space. Some teams were trying to do sign and trade deals mostly, but there were a lot of teams that were interested, which said made me feel great about it. You know, Brooklyn reached out, Milwaukee reached out, Chicago was a team, Cleveland was a team. You know, Golden State briefly was on the table. But so there was a lot of teams. There was Charlotte, I think, was briefly on the table for a while. But it said that there were only a couple teams that came in strong and were trying to make some things work. But it was too much for it because we said they don't know who was moving what, if they were moving pieces or not. It would have had to been a sign and trade deal for certain other guys, but it just wasn't. I said the teams that were really recruiting, I said, wasn't a better situation than I am in now. There weren't contenders. Said in a place where I was comfortable, knew the system, knew where I can thrive and be the best at my ability, what I can do, what I can bring to the floor, and also said I'm not the biggest fan of joining, you know, a bunch of super team type things. I like being with the team that I'm with, and trying to make something happen. But you know, outside of, you know, I would say LA was a super team, but you know, we had Bron and AD, and then I came there and then we started picking up more pieces. But, you know, I think we have the good piece similar to that, you know, Joel to Tobias. And then, of course, Ben. You know, we have those three guys. It's very good. So outside of the situation I had here, I don't think there's a better situation for me to thrive in. And also, you know, have a chip on our shoulder and go out as an underdog. I prefer being the underdog than being, you know, the favorite.
Gotcha. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Rich Hoffman.
Hey, Danny, you know, a lot of guys generally say that winning is important to them, but I guess for you, it seems like you've only really been on good teams your whole career.
I've been like,
Yeah. So is that like at this point of your career, is that just, I mean, the idea of joining, you know, a team that is not as good as the Sixers are, was that even not really a thought for you?
there were some teams that came to the table that made it very interesting, but it was very hard to, you know, see myself in that situation and trying to help rebuild something with a group of young guys, not saying alone, but, you know, particularly not too many other people with help. So there were some things that came to the table. I said if the money was a large difference, then it made me think about it more. But because it wasn't a large difference in that, not saying it's even about the money at this point, but if they offered something crazy at the table or off the wall, then it's something that I would have to consider. But there were some teams I did consider. I thought I liked the movements that they were going in, the directions they were going in, before they even made big moves. But at the end of the day, I said, you know, I like to win. In this point in my career, I couldn't see myself as being the rebuild guy. It's a tough position to be in. I still have good years left, and I'll use those years to help, you know, put something special together to, you know, a bigger or greater cause, or, you know, a good puzzle. I'll be a piece to a very nice puzzle. I think I have that here in Philly. So yeah, it's tough to pass up on what I have now, what I can bring here to go somewhere else for more money to try to help rebuild. It's just, you know, winning is something that I'm used to. I think it'd be a culture shock to be in some type of other environment.
You also mentioned briefly the other players who re-signed and that they signed. It seems like, at least so far, you know, it's a pretty similar team to last year, where, you know, you're either bringing back you and Ferk, or you're signing Drummond for Dwight's spot or something like that. I guess, what have you made of the other moves that the team has made besides you?
I said I like the pieces we picked up. I like Drummond. I think he's very good. Bringing back Ferk was big. I said we got all the same, but not many free agents we had. We have a lot of young guys I'm watching Summer League are doing well. They're killing it. Tyrese, you know, B-Ball Paul, Isaiah Joe, Tuck. You know, they're all doing a great job of leading that young group. But with the foundation we have, let's say with Tobias, Ben, Joel, Shake, we have, you know, a lot of great guys in this locker room on this team that we're able to bring back. And then it sucks that we lost Mike Scott, but I do like Georges Niang. I think he's a great addition, and it'll be a lot of fun to play with. He knows how to play basketball the right way. He's played in Utah for so many years. He moves the ball and can shoot it very well. So another guy that can space the floor for us. And of course, the way Seth has been playing, unbelievable out this world. No matter, you know, sky's the limit for our team when you got guys, you know, that we can space the floor, shoot it, and score at a high clip.
We'll go a few more. We'll start with Austin Crow.
Hey, Danny, you mentioned that Joel and Tobias were adamant they wanted you to return. Did you hear from Ben at all? And what did you, you know, how much was his status with the team sort of a variable in your decision to come back?
Last time I spoke to Ben was probably around the 4th of July weekend. You know, it was just early. I tried to give him his space. I know a lot of people, the media is on his head, a lot of people talking about him. Ben's not a text type of guy. So I send a text here or two and he'll respond, you know, a little bit later or randomly, but he's more of a FaceTime type of guy. I haven't spoken to him in a little while. I haven't been able to FaceTime him. I have a lot going on with the wedding. So there's a lot going on my end as well. So I had free agency, I had the wedding. I didn't know where I was going to be at, and I have this. But I will make it a point. I know Dwight has talked to him. I talked to Dwight recently. I think he's coming to the wedding as well. Said he saw him out in LA working out. But I will, you know, FaceTime, you know, in the near coming weeks after this wedding is over, and I'll be out in LA. I do have my house there. I'll be able, you know, check up on him. But we've talked briefly just to check and see how he was and see how things are going. You know, said, you know, happy 4th of July, enjoy your family, that type of thing. So it was nothing deep in that conversation.
Brian Toporek.
Hey, Danny, congrats on the wedding in advance. You brought up the concept of buy-in a couple times today. So I wanted to ask, were there any specific instances last year where you think the team didn't buy in either to what the coaching staff was preaching or something along those lines? And then, you know, moving forward, where do you want to see that improve?
I don't think that there was any instance where people didn't buy in. I just think that there are instances where they can buy in more and commit themselves more, be more selfless. Not saying that we're a selfish team, but I just think the habits, they're not there yet. The building of the professionalism of always, you know, committing to something and being there, showing up every day and making sure that you're there for your teammates, for yourself, and better, not just yourself, but, you know, the team. So there were some instances where I said, in the atmosphere, you can tell it's going to take a while to change some of those habits. But I think they did buy in, which said a lot of people that were here before me, they said, you know, this was way worse. You could see they're doing a great deal better than they were last year. So I know there was improvement, but, you know, myself, Doc, our coach staff, our work cut out for us to make that even better. And I think that's where it starts. If you want a team to be winning organization, it starts with the small details and the things outside of the court of just buying in and committing and being selfless and showing up and doing little things for each other and with each other.
Cool. Thank you.
Well,
That's it. Back over to Keith.
Hey, Danny, you said something when they asked you about Ben, Austin asked you about Ben, you talked about space. You know, in these type of situations, do you feel that's the best way, the best thing to do for a teammate? You know, just give them some time, give them some space.
it depends on the teammate. It depends on the person. You know, I always try to give some people some space and time for when I can, not say interfere, but you know, put myself in a position to have a good conversation with them. Sometimes some people need that conversation right away. Some people need console and comfort. With Dwight, you know, I have to talk to him right away. Sometimes give him some space. Sometimes, you know, he likes to vent. You know, it's depending on the person. I think with Ben and his personality, I think it was, you know, the right move was to give him some space early on, and I'll, you know, let him just breathe a little bit. You know, let him digest what's going on and what's happening around him, and you know, hopefully have him refresh, get a new mind state, you know, frame of mind, and then have a conversation later on. So he's had that time now. He's been in LA. He's been relaxed. There's so many other things that have going on where, you know, the media is not thinking about just him anymore, or you know, about, you know, what his wrongs or mishaps or his flaws. You know, they had the Olympics going on, other people. The great thing about social media, I mean, the good and bad, is that you do well, they're gonna blow you up. You do bad, but there's always gonna be somebody that's gonna do something bad or good where that they're gonna forget about it. So hopefully that time is giving him time to heal. It's not about him healing physically; it's more mentally and emotionally, to where, you know, we can, you know, refresh himself, reset, and come in and, you know, re-identify himself. And I said hopefully have that conversation with him.
And I guess re-identify yourself. That's the type of advice that a veteran would have for a young guy. You know, a veteran who's been traded before, been around certain guys who been through certain situations. I mean, is that like some of the advice that you have for him? Just, hey, refresh. This is, you know, it's not as bad as some people may think. Or
I usually use that advice for people that get traded, because some people hate to. I mean, we all hate to move as adults, regardless. But, you know, people look at it as a bad thing being traded. You know, I think you gotta look at the positive. Another team wants you, and there's an opportunity for you to kind of reinvent yourself, re-identify yourself. And that's maybe why you hear the rumors of him wanting to go somewhere else, or the team want to move him. Maybe he felt like he couldn't re-identify himself here. He can do it better in another city. But that's not always true. You can do that in the city that you play in. You can come back a totally different player. You have more time off this summer now to work on some things, reset your mindset, reset yourself, and you know, hopefully come back, you know, a stronger, you know, player or different player. And you know, that would be my advice to him, of course. But to all players that have gotten traded, I tell them, you know, take this opportunity to re-identify yourself, reinvent yourself. In this system, this organization, they don't know you. You can be a totally different person. I can go somewhere else and try to be a ball handler. Not saying I'll do that, but I can show that I can do more in that system. They might say, hey, we might use Danny Green in some sense actions where you can handle the ball. But and so Ben, if hopefully he stays with us, but he doesn't, he can reinvent himself and show that he can shoot the mid range or become better free throw shooter, whatever it may be. You can say you came back and this guy actually can do this, bring it to this table, maybe because his frame of mind is different in that atmosphere.